Hey everybody, it's Garrett here with NordStick. I'm gonna walk you through setting up your brand new NordBench Pro. I'm also gonna show you a few tips and tricks along the way. This video should outline everything you need to have success with your NordBench Pro and resolve any issues you could be possibly facing. So first, you wanna take all your bolts out. You'll have one big bolt, two medium-sized bolts, 8 small bolts, one big nut, 2 small nuts, and 8 washers. You're also gonna have a pop pin, a red screw, a T-pin, and 2 purple pins. So just getting started, we'll put the purple pins in their place. So one's gonna go here. Second one is gonna go here. This red pin is gonna go on the side here, and that's gonna be the stabilizing screw. I'll explain how to use that at the end. Last is the T-pin. So you're gonna put the T-pin, you're gonna line it up, make sure it's fully screwed in. If it does not line up, that's not an issue. Unloosen these 4 bolts and you're gonna shift it until you hear that snap. In transit, we hand tighten all of these, but sometimes you need to loosen it, line it up because it gets jiggled in the package, and then lock it in place and tighten it down. So you'll have T-pin, purple, purple, and red. And then this will be ready. Second step is gonna be with this. We ship these backwards because it makes us be able to fit it in a smaller box and cut down on your shipping cost. So you're gonna take these 2 screws and you're gonna loosen them up. So you'll hand loosen this. Same thing on the other side. Okay, so you'll hand loosen these, pull this handle off, flip this around, and then you're gonna put this back in like so. Hand tighten as far as we can, then tightening this as tight as you possibly can. We're doing the same on the other side. So it should look like this. Flipping this around makes the NordBench Pro longer and more stable, and this U-base versus our traditional T also increases the surface area with the ground, making it more stable when you're using it. So now we're gonna lay this like this, and we're going on to the next step. So you're gonna place this like this, and you're gonna take the big bolt and the big nut, and just so you guys can see, and you're gonna shove that through, hand tighten this as far as you can. And then I have a 3/4 inch socket head, and I'm gonna loosen up the wrench. And you wanna make this as tight as possible. When people say the NordBench wobbles, this is one of the first places I go. Since we're here, we're also gonna tighten this. So just make sure this is as tight as possible, and that'll secure the foot plate. I can go a little bit more. Cool. To make the NordBench as stable as possible though, these 2 bolts are crucial. Next, we're gonna add the dip handlebars onto the main frame. So I'm just gonna cut this plastic and the zip tie, and I'm gonna position it for the dip position. I'm gonna take the 2 medium-sized bolts with the 2 nuts. I'm gonna place this on. So you're gonna screw on these. We can do hand tight for now. Now I'm gonna grab a 9/16 socket, and I'm gonna tighten this down as tight as I can. Once I feel like I can't go anymore, I'll now go to the top one and do the same thing. You'll notice there's still some rotation. You have to go back to the bottom and tighten it more, and then the top again and tighten it more. It should take some out, but there still will be some left over, and that's where this comes in. So we have this red stabilizing screw and these new purple pins. You can screw the purple pin in and the red stabilizing pin to take the rotation out of it. There will be some, because if there was none, this wouldn't slide. When you're adjusting the length, you're gonna make sure this red screw is loose, and then you're gonna pull the pin and it'll slide. and snap into place. When you're at a position you like, you'll tighten it to add some stability, but then when you move it again, you loosen it, just like that. The next step is gonna be adding the padding. This will be the last assembly step. So I'm just gonna let that sit there, and I'm gonna hand tighten 2 of these. And then I'm gonna take all 8 using these washers, like so. So we'll speed this up so you don't have to watch me do this over and over again. Okay, and now I'm gonna get that same 9/16 socket. Make sure these are secure. I also wanna make sure the NordBench pad is centered, so you can kinda shift it side by side to make sure it's centered. Okay, now we'll get to the last step before I show you some pointers. So you're gonna loosen this up so this will slide in. You'll hear a snap, and then you're gonna slide this pin through. To secure this tighter, you secure that in like that. Now the NordBench is assembled. I just wanna go through some quick pro tips and common questions I get. If you want this to not flop so easily, you can take a wrench to here, and you can tighten it so it moves more stiff. If you want it to be free, you can. It's all personal preference. I like when it's a little bit tighter so it stays upright like that. One thing you'll also want is when you're storing the NordBench, like this, you want it in the shortest position so it has the smallest frame. When you're exercising with it, there's 4 holes, so you want it as long as possible, all 59 inches, so that it will be as stable as possible when exercising. If your pads rotate, make sure these 2 bolts are tight, and then this red pin and this purple pin are secure. That should minimize rotation for the most part, but a little bit is necessary so that it slides easily. Last thing I want to point out is the footplate has 4 holes. The first hole for when it's vertical is for doing Nordic curls and back extensions. The second hole is strictly for vertical storage when you store it upright, so it stands nice and tall. If you flip down the legs, the third hole is for the platform for the hybrid bar or forward step downs. You just push those buttons to release. And then the last hole is for slant board mode. When I'm doing slant board mode, I'll pull this pin out, relax that down so this isn't in my way. With clients with knee pain, sometimes I'll use this though as a target for when they're squatting. But that's the assembly of the NordBench. You can see the NordBench Pro is easier than ever to set up thanks to your feedback. If you have any additional questions, reach out to Garrett@thenordstick.com and we'd be happy to help you. If you have any issues with the NordBench at all, make sure you watch the pro tips in this video. If there's wobble or anything doesn't feel right, if that doesn't resolve everything, reach out to me. I'm happy to hop on a call and work through it with you. We're so excited for you to try this out, and we can't wait to see your success.